everyone, I'm Heather Wen, a retired nurse practitioner and the founder and practitioner at Arizona Healing Alternatives. On this channel, you'll find several videos, what I like to call aha moments, where we'll be discussing issues that impact your health. So whether you decide to use Western medicine, alternative medicine, or even a mix of both, I'm passionate about you knowing what your options are. For today's aha moment, let's look at happiness. Happiness specifically, kind of that word, kind of like love, what does it really mean? I think what's more important is, what does it mean to you? Why is it important to you? And where do you seek to find that happiness? We're going to be covering this, especially when we come to today's world and all the complications and everything that's going on. I think our world has always been kind of complicated and lots of stresses, but let's take a look at how do we get past all that stuff and create happiness just for you. Stay tuned. So let's look at happiness in general. Like I said, it's kind of tough to define. I mean, sure, we could get out Webster's definition and dictionary and take a look at it. But what I think is really important is happiness. I was talking with someone the other day, and it was so important because this person said to me, they said, you know what? I have everything that I've ever wanted. Financially I'm doing well, family's doing well, everything that if you looked on a piece of paper, you'd check, this is what happiness means to most people. So why am I not happy? Why do I not feel that joy? Why do I not feel that happiness? Well, besides the fact that sometimes that can be a clinical depression or a hormone imbalance or things like that, which is, we talked about, you always want to get things checked out, whether it's a Western medicine practitioner, an alternative practitioner, even what I do in emotional reprogramming, or I also check into hormone imbalances or things like that, or chemical imbalances or neurological things that can be dealt with applied kinesiology. But let's say all that stuff is clear, and then you're like, well, why am I not happy? Why am I not joyous? Well, what's interesting is we have to look at the definitions and the definitions for you specifically. Many times, especially in our world, we equate happiness with money and wealth and this kind of stuff and the material things that we're able to get or achieve, right? And so one of those categories is, well, if you think you're going to be happy, waiting to be happy until you have something else. And that's sort of the key. Oh, I'll be happy when I make $1 million. I'll be happy when I own this particular car, this particular house, or have all this stuff. What we found is, you can look at a lot of celebrities' lives and notice that many celebrities aren't happy because they're looking out here for that happiness. And oftentimes that happiness doesn't come from all the stuff. Now, it can be temporary. It can be like a temporary little adrenaline fix. Oh my gosh, a new car, and it's really kind of fun and those kind of things. But if we're looking to, and we find this in general, when we're looking for that kind of stuff out here to make you happy, what happens when that stuff disappears? There are some people that are very, very impoverished, don't have anything like that, and are incredibly happy. Okay, well, you wouldn't think so, but they can be. The other important thing with that is when we look at sometimes when people have made it through traumatic events or things that go on in their lives. What's so funny, I remember my spiritual teacher, Dr. Judith Larkin Reno, said to me, be careful what you wish for. And we've all heard that. Like, well, what does that mean? Because oftentimes we're so programmed to not be happy and to be waiting for happiness to come that many times we miss the very important piece of when we've gotten to that point, accepting happiness, accepting joy, even accepting love into our lives. Because for many people who have been abused, niceness can be abusive. As weird as that sounds, it can be because you push it away because you don't trust it. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop at any moment. What's going to happen is going to end. What's going to happen? It's about living in the moment of happiness. And that's really hard. Even for me, it's really hard to live in that space of contentment, happiness, peace when it's happening without worrying, without ruminating about, oh my gosh, what's the next thing that's going to happen, or when is that going to end, or rejecting it and not even accepting it when it comes along because you just don't trust it. So when we look at happiness, we have to look at what it means to you. And I know when I do hypnosis on people, one of the first things I ask is, what gives you pleasure or joy? Because as I'm talking to the body and under hypnosis, talking to the subconscious mind, I'm talking to how to reprogram that so that the body is going with frames of reference that make the body happy, right? So what is that for you? And that's so personal. For some people, yes, it may be outside, but it could be being by the ocean. It could be hiking in the mountains that makes somebody feel closer to nature, closer to something bigger than themselves. And on that note, for some people, it's very spiritual. It can be a connection to a higher power. It could be a connection to, in the same way, connection to everything around you. So in that way, it can be outside, but it's your connection to it. And so for some people, that's through prayer, that's through meditation, that's through other things like that. But really, if we start putting things like, oh, well, I'm going to wait until I have the perfect partner in my life, or I'm going to wait until I have this particular job, or wait till that, that's a huge problem, because that happiness really has to come from within you. So I really encourage you to look at, what is it? Some people, like I said, they put on music and they just feel just so much more connected or more calm. Some people it's meditation, some people it's prayer. Whatever that is, it needs to come from inside of you. Studies are showing in regards to meditation, prayer, things like that. And so what they did, which I thought was fascinating, was they took a Buddhist monk and then somebody that didn't have a background in any kind of meditation or that sort of thing. And what they found was they put a pain stimulus, very painful, like a hot water, like scalding sort of stimulus on the wrist. And then they did CT scans to see where the brain lights up. But what was fascinating about it was, on one side, you had both sides, right? Both people, when they were put in the CT scan and the painful stimulus was on, it lit up in red. The brain lit up in red, registering pain, okay? Then what they did was they told both men that when they heard a tone, that painful stimulus was coming back. So what was fascinating was, when the tone went off, the Buddhist monk who meditates, the brain was completely calm. But yet, in anticipation of that pain, somebody who didn't meditate or didn't do that, the pain was already going off and registering, even though there was no painful stimulus yet. Isn't that interesting? So for those of you who've seen my energy medicine or woo-woo video, and me talking about emotional reprogramming, and me talking about my auto accident, and that when a rock hit the windshield, that pain signal came back, even though I'd been healed from that, or my body had healed from that. So it's very interesting. But then what was even more interesting was, then the painful stimulus hit, and then both brains, the red came up, registering pain. They were in pain. Okay, so that registered pain. Then when that stimulus was removed, the person who was a monk and who meditates all the time, that went back to a normal pain-free brain. But the other side, after that painful stimulus, that person still had those pain receptors going for a while, because it was that trauma. So it's really interesting, and trauma hits people different ways. And once again, if you're having trouble and you're having trouble being happy or joyful in your life, please seek out help for that, whether it's Western medicine, alternative medicine, counseling, whatever it is you need, please seek that out. But it's so important, because we know I could tout all the science about happiness and endorphins and dopamine, all sorts of fun stuff that goes along with that. That I think would be kind of boring, but you can all look that up. But basically, it's just about, what do you need in your life, and where do you need to look internally for that happiness and that peace of mind and that joyfulness in your life, so that even in troubled times, even when times get rough in your life, how do you go back to that space and help send that out into the world? I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button, and anytime videos come out of this kind, you'll be notified if you also hit the notification bell. Other than that, let's go out into the world, be happy within ourselves, and then spread it out into the world. Thank you, and have a great day.